It's a hot topic at congressional hearings, but now anabolic steroid use is the focus of a new documentary, Bigger, Faster, Stronger. Writer and director Chris Bell uses the semi-personal film diary to join the debate about the fine line between cheating and winning at all costs. The critics have declared Bigger, Faster, Stronger a winner, but critics aren't the only ones with opinions. Joining us tonight is someone who is bigger, faster, and stronger than most of her competitors, American Gladiator Beth Venom Horn. Welcome.
Thank you.
To
Thank
Chicago
you for
tonight.
Me.
Now, you are not a person who believes in steroids, period, right?
No, I am not an advocate of steroids. I have been a natural athlete my entire life, and I became national fitness champion in 2000, and that was very, very dear to me because I did it naturally. And so many of my competitors, I was surrounded by steroids, so I was very proud of that achievement. And that led me to write my book, which I brought a copy, The Natural Way. And therefore the title of Being Natural was very important to me.
All right, let's take a look at the first clip in which magazine editor John Romano says that he is not buying into the notion that using performance-enhancing drugs is dangerous.
What happens is these retarded idiots that give us the news, these talking heads that babble on TV, give us this rhetoric that comes from not one single expert. And they say ridiculous things like steroids will kill you, they'll rot your kidneys, they'll give you cancer, they'll do all these horrible things that are just not true.
John Romano is a senior editor of a bodybuilding magazine, and he disagrees with what his media colleagues think of steroids.
Well, how come we hear constantly in the news that people are dying from taking steroids?
Show me the bodies.
Lyle Alzado.
Lyle Alzado didn't die from steroids. I trained with him for 2 years. He didn't die from steroids. I know he died from a brain tumor.
So does he make a case here that in fact there is no conclusive scientific evidence that steroids are harmful?
You know what, they had doctors, and many doctors on there saying there was no scientific proof that they're related to serious illness. So
Did
that
they
was
convert
very,
you?
No, but I mean, just very interesting. I mean, there's no studies out there. First of all, they're illegal, so we don't really know the answer. So very interesting.
So even for someone like you, there was a question mark that they imposed on this particular documentary.
Definitely.
Next scene, it's Floyd Landis explaining that though stripped of his Tour de France title, he didn't cheat, though he did use a different type of performance enhancer.
I won the Tour clean, and I deserve to win. I'm proud of it, and I always will be.
But he did sleep in his own altitude chamber.
So you just climb in there?
Yeah, you want to try it out? You won't have a monitor in there, but I have it set to like about 13,000 feet.
See, sleeping in an altitude chamber produces a lot more red blood cells, which means more oxygen in your system, which means more endurance for a cyclist or a long-distance runner. There are 4 ways to increase your red blood cell count. You can sleep in an altitude chamber, like Floyd, or you could just train at the U.S. Olympic Training Center at 6,000 feet in Colorado. Then there's blood doping. That's when you draw your own blood a month before the big race, then re-inject it the night before. Finally, there's a drug called EPO, which simply tells your body to produce more red blood cells. So that's 4 ways to do the exact same thing, but 2 are allowed and 2 are cheating.
Now, have you ever engaged in the notion of increasing your red blood cells prior to competition?
No, not at all. I'm not an endurance athlete like he is, but I mean, so interesting. There's 4 ways to do it, and 2 are legal and 2 are not. I mean, who's to say what is right and what is cheating? I mean, the hypocrisy of it is ridiculous. It really is.
Well, see, and then once again, for someone who is as diehard against this as you are, they seem to be making at least some nominal persuasive case for you.
Exactly, and I mean, our country is just obsessed with being the best at everything, and that's what this movie is really about. It brings all of that into question. So our steroids, are they good? Are they bad? The hypocrisy of it all, and do we really know? Can we actually judge and pass judgment on it? We don't know.
We don't know. In this latest clip, or last clip rather, fitness model Christian Boving explains that what you see may not be what you get.
There you go, just like that. Good, give me some good abs, Christian. That's it.
I saw Conan the Barbarian when I was 11. And at that moment, I said, that's exactly what I want to do. And I started to study Arnold and his achievements. So I started training with weights when I was 14. I started taking steroids when I was 16.
So you're advertising a supplement. So a guy like me goes and looks in the magazine, and I see Christian Boving, and I'm like, wow, man, I want to look like that guy. So I go and take Hydroxycut or some supplement because I think that I'm going to look like you, but what I don't know is that you were taking steroids. Do you have any problem with that?
That's a double-edged sword, my friend. How to answer this? If somebody looks at an ad with me in it and says, well, Christian Boving takes hydroxycut, which I did, and I do, that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't take something else. And if they choose to believe that that's the only thing I'm taking to look like that, then so be it. They should be smarter than me.
Do you pretty much write off supplement stores? I mean, do you walk into those places or do you say, forget it?
You know, I take your basic supplements, you know, your multivitamin, your B and your C. But the problem with, especially after seeing this movie, the supplement industry is completely unregulated, which is very scary. We don't know exactly what's in it. It's not been tested. So that was a very good point in the movie, and that definitely needs to change because that is scary. Are there side effects? We don't know.
On American Gladiator, you're surrounded by people who are bodybuilders, I mean, are people who have paid an awful lot of attention to the architecture of their bodies and their strength. Do you think you're in a minority in the sense that you aren't taking things?
You know, well, I can't say for all the gladiators. We were all tested, so that's a good thing. And you know, for me personally, I want to stay natural, and that's how I want to be. And that's my message that I want to give out to the world and promote health and fitness and being natural. And you can do it. And the sad side of it all is, why do people think they have to take that, to change their body dramatically? To me, that's very sad. Like, there's something going on deep inside. Like, are you really happy with yourself, or is there some kind of insecurity going on? Why would you feel like you have to do that to yourself?
But for someone like you who is as dedicated to the proposition that this stuff is no good and wrong, now at least a case seems to be made that steroids may not. I thought Lyle Alzado too, he had a brain tumor. That must have been from the steroid use.
Yeah, but we don't know. I mean, there's really no research. That's the scary part. We really can't tell.
Any weaknesses that you found in this documentary? Anything that you went, this isn't working for me?
Not really. They brought so many different things into it. Like, they brought in Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis from the '88 Olympics. I mean, so interesting. They stripped his medal away and gave it to Carl Lewis, and Ben Johnson was saying, hey, he's on the same stuff, and they actually have, proven research that it's all documented that he was using as well. So, and then what did surprise me is with the Olympics, there were doctors that came forward and actually had a case that against the Olympic Committee that was fraud. And they were covering up cases that people were positive, that tested positive. And he said 6 out of 7 athletes were testing positive, and it was covered up. So that was like shocking to me, and especially with the Olympics coming up. So it's very sad, but I don't judge. It's their choice to do it. If some people would say it's cheating, I think it's cheating, and it's their choice, so I'm not going to judge.
So on that part, you have not wavered.
No, for me, you got to stay natural, and it's their choice. I'm not going to judge. It's their choice to do it or not, and we just don't know if there's consequences long term, and that's what the next one, I'd love to find out more about that, and they need to research that.
So let's judge this film then. Roger Ebert for the Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 3.5 stars. Ebert thought that Bell's documentary stood out in comparison to other documentaries, saying this movie is remarkable in that it seems to be interested only in facts. Teddy Greenstein of the Chicago Tribune also gave the movie 3.5 stars, saying while it's easy for politicians to brand steroids as the devil's potion, the film presents their use as a moral tightrope, perhaps not different than the use of legal stimulants. And Andrea Granval of the Chicago Reader doesn't give stars, but also was impressed with the documentary, saying Chris Bell's robust video essay about the steroids controversy raises the bar for sports documentaries. So Beth, your stars would be what?
I would give it 3.5, 4 stars as well. Yeah, I think it's so great that it's getting out into the mainstream and showing people don't look like this, not naturally. So I'm very glad it's in the mainstream and just open people's eyes, see what's really going on out there.
Well, Beth Venom Horn, thank you very much for being with us on Chicago Tonight. We'll be right back with viewer mail, so stay with us.